I can't think of any human rights violation that's more extreme and more fundamental than depriving someone of the very right to live.
You can always release an innocent man from prison, but you can never release an innocent man from the grave.
Dead men tell no tales. Once you execute someone, it's virtually impossible to prove that they were innocent of the crime.
Death penalty is very important to be worked on in Florida, and I am determined to abolish the death penalty in Florida.
This work is important because it's my belief that I know that they already had killed innocent people. And you can always release an innocent man from prison, but you can never release an innocent man from the grave.
There's a saying about the death penalty that the more you know about the death penalty, the less you like it. And I know that was certainly true for me. It was a process that got me interested in this, and for everyone it's a little different. Some people may have an epiphany or may have something happen that just triggers them to think about the death penalty, but I've found it to be true, even among prosecutors and prison wardens who I work with who have conducted executions, that the more you think about the death penalty, the less you like it.
Florida, wow. We're one of the top, we're in the top one of the states that give death penalty, but we're also in the top of exonerees. As we all know, I believe it's about 24 at this time. But we're also, unfortunately, with Governor Rick Scott that helped pass Timely Justice Act.
I can't think of any human rights violation that's more extreme and more fundamental than depriving someone of the very right to live. The death penalty, as I see it, is a gateway that so many other abuses go through. All the barbaric treatment of prisoners, torture, the lack of rehabilitation in our criminal justice system, the focus on punishment instead of keeping our communities safe, instead of investing in crime prevention programs that are proven to work, solving unsolved homicides, really helping the victims of violent crime and their families. And the main thing is to prevent these things from happening in the first place.
Unfortunately, a couple weeks ago got a letter from my death row friend that is now on the list to be executed. So it is now even more important to me to get the word out, to use my story for what it's worth, of what we can get out there for people. Unfortunately, I had to become a victim to become a part of this advocacy against the death penalty, but we are also here to get new faces. You don't need to have someone you know that was killed. You don't need to. You could just wear a button. You could put a bumper sticker on your car. You can write to the governor. You can write to the president. You could make sure that we are not like all these other countries that are more humane than us, and we were supposed to be in this high technology area. Death penalty is very important to be worked on in Florida, and I am determined to abolish the death penalty in Florida because of those many reasons and more.
The death penalty, you probably heard words to the effect from the state when they carry out an execution that it was humane and it was dignified and it was solemn. And the truth is, it's none of that. The unnecessary killing of a well-secured captive prisoner can never be humane or dignified under any circumstances. It's unnecessary and it's just plain wrong.
I would say Florida is the priority because the government in Florida do want to execute people. Is willing to execute people.
The state of Florida has become the worst of the worst, unfortunately, of all the death penalty states.
It's obvious to me that the death penalty is causing or putting on more layers of things that we need to do in this society. I mean, we already have enough victims. Why are they creating more victims?
Florida has the second largest death row in the nation, which is also the second largest in the Western Hemisphere. The number of exonerated death row prisoners in Florida is 24, which is far more than any other state. So we make more mistakes than anywhere else. Last year in 2012, we had the most death sentences of any state. We had 22. That's more than 1 out of 4 of every new death sentence in the United States came from Florida.
It's almost like the government or society help create criminals, but it's very easy for us to punish them. And number 2, most of the ones we punish and spend all this money on are the most poor of the criminals and the people and the human beings on death row.
In the United States, 6 states in the last year have done away with executions, and that trend is continuing. Yet in Florida, we've gone the opposite direction. We have set an example that we're starting to see some other states look at, like we'll just simply, to save money, we'll expedite executions. And you know the story, dead men tell no tales. Once you execute someone, it's virtually impossible to prove that they were innocent of the crime.
We will spend all this money for poor people, but then what's that on the other hand? There's rich people that do and can have gotten off a death row.
The most important thing that I would like Floridians to know is this. The death penalty do not deter crime. The death penalty is racist. The death penalty is cruel and unnecessary. We have alternatives. The death penalty costs too much money that can be used for other things like therapy for victim families for murder, better training for the police so they better equipment so they can apprehend the real perpetrator. And like I said a while ago, you can always release an innocent man from prison, but you can never release an innocent man from the grave.
There's so many reasons the death penalty doesn't make any sense, whether it's an ethical decision, rational, reasonable, a business decision. It just plain doesn't work. The best estimate is that Florida spends an estimated $1 million a week just to have the death penalty, over and above the cost of sentencing those same people to life in prison without parole. It is the great enabler. It enables the worst parts of our prison system to flourish. We have 8,000 people serving life without parole sentences, some for petty crimes. But as long as the death penalty sits on the top of all this, and there's a saying, Brian Stevenson from Equal Justice Initiative in Alabama said that only in a state where they are intoxicated with the power to kill, where the government's intoxicated with the power to kill, would a sentence of life without parole seem like leniency. And that's exactly the situation in our state. It's the gateway to all these other abuses. The death penalty will end. It's going away nationally. Florida has taken the wrong direction with this. That $1 million a week that we spend, think about the 14,000 unsolved homicides in our state. We could have cold case squads that really create a better and more safe place for Floridians to live. We can put down the needle and go get the handcuffs, bring people to justice, and it's not necessary to kill them. It's just not necessary. It's not in self-defense or defense of others. It's strictly for revenge and as punishment. And it's an expensive way to deal with criminal justice and public safety. The state of Florida and counties have disbanded crime prevention programs that are proven to work. They've gotten rid of them. That $1 million a week could do so much to restore some of those programs that really protect the public and keep us and our families safe. The victims of violent crime and their families, they've seen services cut back for them, wait times increase, just for basic things like having the lights turned on or their kids going to school or college. You know, these funding needs to be to help the people of the state of Florida and not to exact this unnecessary, super expensive revenge that puts blood on all our hands.
No matter whether it's helping us to abolish the death penalty or if it's some kind of thing that you can find that it's a reason for you to be here. Like in this room that I'm in right now, us 4 people have 4 different reasons for being alive, and we have 4 different reasons for helping our society and our world to go forward and not move back. Each one of us has a reason, but find your reason. Don't be afraid of that reason, because we can do it. We can't stop, and we cannot draw the line. We can't say we'll do it next week. We have to do it now. It has to happen now. And we are going to get there slowly but surely, but we are going to abolish the death penalty.